Does a crazy design always equate with a crazy ride and a crazy experience? This is what this shoe is raising as a question, and we'll try to answer it. Hey everyone, and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex. In today's video, we are reviewing the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro Beta. This shoe is not the Wave Rebellion Pro 3, careful, it's only the intermediate version between the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 and an upcoming shoe. This for now is the Wave Rebellion Pro Beta with this crazy prototype colorway, a zebra type of colorway. Looking really special and standing out for sure, especially when worn with, a full kit, zebra kit, like some Mizuno Pro athletes had at the Amsterdam Marathon that I also raced myself. If you haven't seen that video with Andy and myself, we'll link it at the end of this review, so you can go check it out. Let's go into the specs of this shoe. And first of all, the price point, we're looking at 240 euros, which nowadays is a good price point for a race day shoe, a marathon race day shoe. Some of them are now, 300, 310 euros. So 240 to a certain extent is not that bad. It's average, below average for a race day shoe nowadays. Looking at the stack height, I do not have the precise number, the specific value. But if you look at this specific point right here where the stack height seems to be the highest, I would say that there is probably more than 50 millimeters of stack height right here. With the regulations and the way they are made, the measuring point happens to be right here in that midsole void, and therefore this shoe is race legal. It's on the World Athletics list of shoes, and it passes the 40 millimeters test. But I assume that if you check right here where I have my finger, it's probably beyond 50 millimeters, and it does feel quite wobbly when walking in the shoe. Even when running to a certain extent. I will explain how it felt here in a second. The drop, I would suspect, is 8 millimeters. That's what I felt. But again, I don't have the specific number, so it could be different than 8. That's just my assumption. Weight of this shoe, 243 grams in my size US 11. The official men's sample size weight is 225 grams, which to be honest is a bit above the average for race day shoes nowadays. You tend to see them around at 220 grams in my size US 11, and some shoes are even much lighter than 200 grams. So this is a bit above average, nothing dramatic because the Alpha Fly is 250 grams, so this is still lighter than an Alpha Fly 3, which can to a certain extent be taken as a reference. But yeah, I think there's maybe a bit of gains on that weight side of things. However, again, with that huge midsole stack height right here, it definitely comes with a higher weight. Looking at the upper of the shoe, it's going to be an interesting discussion because I personally do not have anything against it. I actually find it to be the most comfortable upper of all the 3 iterations of the Wave Rebellion Pro, version 1, version 2, version 3. The heel is probably what I like the most about the shoe. It's a nice heel, it's a nice lockdown. But if you ask Andy with Meta Endurance, he will not tell you the same. He had a lot of blisters with the shoe in the heel and in the forefoot. I didn't experience any of that. But again, like I said, this is, for me, my favorite upper of all the Wave Rebellion Pro series. The tongue is not gusseted, but it sits actually quite nicely on top of my foot. And yeah, I didn't have anything dramatic to complain about with this upper. As you can see, I have a runner's knot here, and this is not just because of the lockdown. The lockdown is okay, but it's really coming down to stability with the shoe, and I'll go into that in a second when describing the ride. Laces are okay. They're the right length. They're not too thick, not too thin, and they work well. I don't have anything else to say about them. The fit is true to size. I had right about a thumb width here in the forefoot as extra space, extra wiggle room, and that was perfect for me. For any distance, I would say, for the marathon, even with some swelling, I could handle this shoe and this fit really nicely. Looking at the midsole, we have a new midsole compound from Mizuno. It's Mizuno Energy XP. This is a TPEE based midsole, so it's not PIBA, it's actually different than PIBA, and Mizuno says it's even better than PIBA. I would say that this is probably, again, my favorite midsole compound of the 3 versions, the Wave Rebellion Pro 1, Pro 2, and now Pro Beta. It's the softest one, the most compliant, the one also with the most aggressive energy return and decompression. It adds, I would say, a wild compound to a wild geometry. The previous Wave Rebellions had good midsole compounds, but it wasn't anything crazy. They only had, a very crazy geometry with a heel cut that was going even a bit further than on this shoe. Now, you know, this shoe has still that heel cut, but I think the crazier even thing than the heel cut is the midsole compound that is really, really soft and very snappy, very dynamic in terms of energy return. The shoe is also really, really stiff. And when I say really, really, I insist, I'm really trying to put some force in it right now, but it's very hard to bend. There's a plate obviously in the shoe, and it stiffens up the midsole in a very, very dramatic way. The midsole compound is very soft, very responsive, and with that plate, it makes the shoe super stiff, so very efficient in a way, if you will. How is the ride? It is really, really efficient. I would say, however, as a caveat, that this shoe will not work for every type of runner. People heel striking with a very pronounced heel strike will not be very happy with the shoe. People landing on their forefoot will also not be super happy with the shoe because they will not enjoy the full benefits of that midsole compound. There is less tag height here in the forefoot. There is also that plate that proportionally takes more space in the tag height here in the forefoot. And the forefoot is really rigid and very, very aggressive. Everything is happening, you know, right here. If you are striking exactly here, I think you are really compressing it the right way, moving forward the right way, toeing off the way it was designed. At least there is no right or wrong way. It's just the way it was designed for. And that happens if you're striking here, which happens to be my case. And I'm, I think, really lucky to be kind of made for this shoe. Although I must say, as soon as I'm fatiguing, my foot strike is moving backwards. And I tend to like this shoe less and less with the miles going up in a race or even in a training session. Because when I have fresh legs, I can strike exactly where I want and use the full benefits of this geometry. As soon as my foot strike moves towards the heel, it becomes a bit less enjoyable. One key addition also to this midsole is the increase in width. You have 37% more surface, more flat surface on this outsole compared to the previous iterations as a result of that width increase, and also as a result of that heel cut being moved backwards. Overall, the ride is very aggressive, very dynamic, almost a bit too aggressive for a marathon, for the marathon distance. This is a shoe I would run again in 100%, but for a 5K, a 10K, maybe a half marathon. I definitely would not take it again on a marathon because it's demanding, it's aggressive, and sometimes aggressive makes you feel, you know, super fast. And although this is an efficient shoe, but the feeling of being fast and the way it is aggressive is also very demanding, and a shoe that is demanding doesn't really matter for, you know, short distances, but when the length of a race, the duration of a race increases, then that demand coming from the shoe becomes taxing on the body and on the mind as well. Outsole, this is a really good outsole. It doesn't look like one, it has all the little dots here, but it's very grippy. The traction is really good. And based on my experience in the previous shoes, Pro 1, Pro 2, it's gonna be durable. So I'm happy with this outsole. And overall, I'm, you know, fairly happy with this shoe. I think if I had to review it as a 5K, 10K shoe, I would be very happy about it because this is, you know, race day shoe for all sorts of distances. I have to put a caveat for the marathon distance with, you know, that's kind of compatibility with your foot strike and that demand that it is putting on your body after a certain duration. But if you can handle it, then it's very efficient. The midsole compound is special. It will push you forwards in the direction of a new PB, hopefully, because I think this is really what Mizuno has been working on. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this makes sense. Let's link to the Amsterdam race day vlog, episode 4 of Road to Amsterdam series. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, and go beyond your limits. I will see you in the next one.